Welcome on into today's trade recap, Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, 1:53 on the day. Let's get into how we got here. So this is calculating essentially three trades. There was really two trades today. I'll talk about the two trades. The other one was a partial take profit. I realized $31 of gains on my mRNA short. It's getting closer and closer to my take profit, but not totally there yet, but I want to along the way. My stop loss has been moving down a bit, and then I locked in a little bit just to kind of take something off the table, a very small piece, about 10% of it. So with that said, I also messed around with scaling out of my SPY position and then even meta as well. I've actually figured out a different way to scale out, which works perfect. And I'm super happy with it. And so we'll kind of cover those two trades, and I'll take you through the trade replay. The first one on Meta was actually really like a break even. It made $22. It went my way, then it came back and stopped me out. I think it ended up going higher, so technically I maybe have missed on the stop loss. We'll cover that here in a second. And then SPY, this one was really good. It just shy of my ultimate take profit. I'll show you. Well, this is the ultimate take profit was up here. I had my sell order like sitting just below that. That is the gap fill on the daily chart. It goes to like 438.60-ish. So I was setting a take profit just shy, and it got close. It got just over 438, but it couldn't make a little bit more of a push. And so I was going to make more, but then I got stopped out on the rest of my shares. And we end up with about $100, $99 on that trade. So that was kind of how that worked. But let's talk about Meta first. And then I'll, last but not least, I will recap the mRNA like update on that position and just why I locked something in. So if I go to the 5-minute chart here on TradeZilla and I pop you open, you can see that we had this consolidation right here. Now, technically speaking, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, my stop loss is going to be the low as this consolidation. You could even make the stop loss under the breaking candle low, which is what it should be based off how I've been trading this stuff. Now, the problem is that I end up getting in on this candle at an average of 321.78, which puts me like right around here. So the break of this high. And then I moved my stop loss up to break even. And we came just under my break even and then bounced and technically went higher, which is kind of my bad. Should have put the stop loss under the breaking candle because that's the invalidation point. You lock in gains along the way. I like to move my stop loss to break even so you don't lose. And so that was my rationale behind it. And that's what I decided to do. And it ended up hurting me and stopping me out. So I just was experimenting with some small take profits. So I entered 50, sold 10, and then I ended up getting stopped for 30 on the rest right there. So that's kind of the way it went. But the bigger picture chart on Meta is what I did want to pull up. By the way, SPY might bounce here and then end up going higher, which will be funny. But again, it's not the momentum I'm looking for. So it is what it is. Meta looks good. It looks like it's going for more right now. So, but a little bit of a choppy move. It's been kind of a slow. I've honestly been kind of sitting around waiting for like the past 2 hours, which is kind of a pain in the ass. I got to be honest, but we have been on a much bigger uptrend on the daily chart the past couple of months or past couple of weeks, days, whatever. We put in a higher low, relatively speaking, here at 312.50-ish. That was on Friday. And then we rejected off of this 321, like 85, multiple times on the 1 hour chart. Once we broke that, that's what I wanted to get in on. And so I got in and it ended up going to my ultimate take profit and whatnot. But either way, that was the trade. So I was looking at like more of a bigger picture time frame. When we're looking at the 1 hour chart, I like to use the 5-minute to frame my entry point. Then we had that consolidation, and then I put the stop loss where I put it. So that was kind of how that one worked. Looking back, stop loss really should have been under this candle low. I'll tell you that. And that was my bad. So I'm just going to log this guy, make sure we have her essentially logged in, and we're good to go. Okay, now let's jump it back to the previous trade, or I guess not the previous trade, it's like the next trade. SPY. So you can see that the running P&L had me up 140-ish at the peak when it did get very close to my take profit, and then it came back. So it just shows you, like, this could have been a trade of like maybe 150 in gains Had it worked to where I want it to work, but it is what it is. It's not a big deal. We take the win and we move on. And so we jump over here, and you can see how I got in and out. So I'm going to move this to the 5-minute chart so you can see it a little bit cleaner. That's what I trade on anyway. But essentially, we had been breaking to the upside over this push up consolidation. You want to call it a flag, call it a flag. That's how I just kind of generally classify these things. Over this 435.70, that's when I got in. My entry was 435.70 on the nose. Look at that, beautiful. And then I started to just I tested scaling out a different way on MetaTrader 5, which I figured out, and it's awesome, and it works so nice, and I don't have to worry. I can set my take profit and stop loss, and then still scale out as I'm in the trade with smaller size, and I don't have to touch the take profit and stop. Those will just automatically adjust to whatever I have left. So if I had 100 shares when I traded this, right, I sold 10, I sold 5, but I had my stop loss set, which initially the stop loss was under these lows. I then moved it up to the breaking candle low, and then we had that stop loss move up, move up, move up, and we broke down under essentially some higher lows right here. I moved my stop loss to under here, and then that broke and hit me right there. But as time went on, right, I scaled out, but I was able to just simply leave the stop loss or move it as I wanted to. But when I said, okay, I want to sell 10 or 15 shares, I want to sell 20 shares, I want to sell 15 here, I want to sell 5 more here, right? When I did that, it without me having to do a lot of, it automatically adjusted. So it's super nice, super easy, super clean. I have now dialed in essentially dialed in how I'm going to be trading this strategy and the executions and all that stuff. So that's that. That was SPY. We had to throw out 40, it's where it's kind of interesting. So Meta, we threw 15K at it to play the size I wanted to. It's to have the risk reward that I wanted to. Then, probably could have played a little bit larger looking back on both of these, but it is what it is. And then we end up, throwing 43K at SPY, which not something that I currently have sitting in my trading account. So it's nice to be able to use the prop to be able to do that, right? Which is the whole point. And I'm telling you, I am absolutely loving the shares. I'm just loving trading shares and technically CFDs, but it just makes it so much easier. I don't have to worry as much about all this different shit. So it just cleans things up. I'm loving it. So on the month, we are currently up 683. Now, technically speaking, I am actually up more than that, but I have not realized any gains, and they could be losses. I have now moved my stops to taking, I've moved my stops, and I'll show you accordingly what I mean by that. So the other open trades are on GME and mRNA. Not a ton to talk about. Oh shit, this is going lower. Wow. We might even hit PT today, guys, by the way. Look at this. I mean, my target's 85. We still got to go $2 more, but this thing is nosediving right now, just nosediving off the face of the earth. So I showed in the past videos or whatever, the breakdown under key levels into new low of a year. Earnings is coming up in about a week and a half or so, or 2 weeks from now, whatever. I will not hold through that. I'm looking for a move to fill the volume gaps on the daily chart, which I guess I can cover really quickly. I'll go to the weekly time frame to show you it a little bit easier. So here's the 1 week chart, right, breaking down clean under this level. It's starting to become a pretty big downside week. So, you want to start thinking about actively locking in gains, hence why I locked in 10% today at around 88-ish, I believe. We can double check that once it's all wrapped up. But as I broaden this chart out, right, you look at this thing, it's unraveling. It's unraveling the whole COVID push and all that stuff. But if we let the volume profile load up here in a second, you'll notice that this is why that's the whole point of why I'm in this trade to begin with. It's because we've got a volume gap on this chart, right, down to about 85. And then we technically have a nice volume node down in the 70s to 65 range. So I don't want to be trying to short it as it gets down to here, but 85 is kind of like that lower hanging fruit. So that's what I'm looking for as my target. You can dial that in if you go to the daily chart and whatnot, but that's the idea behind it. So it's working out nice. Really, it was more so a daily chart play. And, as you can see, right, 2 nice days of drilling. And it's worth locking a nice piece. I have then since moved my stop loss. So my stop loss has now moved to pretty much, I had the stop loss at $100, which was right here. I have now moved that to 99. And ideally, I can probably move that to like 97, which would be this blue line right here if I wanted to. But at the end of the day, it looks like we're probably going to hit take profit first. Anything could happen. You never know. But earnings here is on November 2nd. So it's I guess it's like over 2 weeks away. But at this pace, you know, all we got to do is drop another $2.50 for our take profit, and that's it. You could scale out further, but the original trade here I had was already a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio from an entry around 95, stop at 100, and then take profit 85. And then below 85, I just don't like the risk-reward as much, so I prefer to take it off there and move on. I shorted 50 shares of these guys, so it would be on pace, I guess, for about a $500 gain, probably a little bit less. I locked a little bit in, so maybe like a $400 to $500 gain, which is kind of cool. Now, grand scheme, let's take a look at our Surge Trader dashboard and make sure we are up to date on the current progress. I'm going to log into my account. Let's do that. Boom, boom, boom. Oop, I logged into it twice. Here we have multiple openings. Okay, so let's pop it open. So this is my audition, if you will. So I have the 50K account. We are currently at a balance of, based off what I've realized, 50,300. I guess that technically could go down or up, but based off what's open, the current portfolio value is worth 50K 730. So we're currently, based off that, we are currently 14% of the way there. We'll see how this rides, and so far so good. I mean, I like the swings. It could be a nice added piece here, although the S&P, the market kind of seems like it wants to go higher, so it's kind of like you're playing push and pull with this whole thing. In the grand scheme, I think a lot more swings aligned with the S&P and aligned with the market would be ideal. Just not really seeing a ton of that I like right now, and needs time to set up because we've been in a pullback. So it just, if we are going to bounce and set up for upside moves, we're going to get them, but they might be a couple weeks away, probably on the backside of this earnings cycle and season. So that's today's trade update. I'll leave links to Surge. I'll leave links to TradeZella and TradingView, where I do all the tracking, charting, all the stuff that we see here. All that stuff will be logged under this video as a resource. A lot of different prop firms out there. Not that I'm recommending a specific one. This is just the one that kind of fits what I was looking for and what I needed to do. There aren't a ton that cater to trading CFDs or trading shares. So you got to kind of pick and choose and do your research accordingly. But this one seems to be working fine. Happy with it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.